green flags are the things you look at people and say, okay, I like this person because of these things, because those things could help me. So red flags are indicators of unhealthiness or toxicity. A lot of the things that may not fall under red flags becomes red flags. Because sometimes the trauma we've been through could make us see even the healthy things as red flags. I've actually heard someone who said she doesn't like stable men. There are people like that, yes.
For real?
And normally stability should be one of the key elements to look out for in a partner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of Talking Terms. I'm your host. I'm Ayotunde Adejumo Adu. And stopping by for a conversation is the corporate communication specialist and author of Dear Good Man, You Stood No Chance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me, George.
Thank you for having me, bro.
How are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice.
Hope you didn't find it difficult to get here.
Nah, I mean, it was stress-free, so it's fine.
It's fine. It's stress-free, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Actually, you're going to be the first guest on this show.
Nice.
Nice. Well, that's a good one. One. Thank you very much for coming, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
So now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The topic for the day, red flags versus green flags in a relationship. So tell me, what really is red flag?
Okay. So, well, I think we also, in order for us to define red flags, which we would still do, because it's good that we lay the foundation on which we are going to, build a lot of the, the elements in the discussions I would have. One of the key things about red flags is that it's just an indicator. So red flag is basically just an indicator of something that could be unhealthy. Right. Mm-hmm. So red flags are indicators of unhealthiness or toxicity, and all of those things, all of those negative compounds in the relationship. So those are red flags. Although one of the things I've realized about the modern day relationship, is that a lot of the things that may not fall under red flags becomes red flags. And unfortunately, I think just a few people are really aware of this, because sometimes the trauma we've been through could make us see even the healthy things as red flags. So which is why I think it's very good that we would dissect what indeed are these red flags. Because just because certain things are not tolerable to you doesn't always mean that it's a red flag. Yes, so there also needs to be a distinction between red flags and then what we would call maybe boundaries, or
like there should be a differentiation.
Yeah, exactly. So in today's term, things that shouldn't even fall within the category of what red flag is, they put everything there. Because sometimes what may not work for you might be preferred for another person, right? So, so that's why in the definition is just would basically say anything that's toxic, anything that's negative. So these indicators of negativity, toxicity, these are the definitions of red flags. This is basically a definition of what red flag is.
Okay, what about green flag? What do you make of it? What is a green flag in a relationship? Like green flag in the sense that what you feel is right for your partner to do, Can you throw more light on this?
I think, well, in general terms, we just say green flags are the opposite of red flags, right? So anything healthy. anything that pushes your growth, anything that
Together,
yeah,
right?
that makes you become better, right? That your partner does, those characters, those features that your partner has, that helps you, to thrive in the relationship, would fall under the category of a green flag. So green flags are the things you see and admire and you would want, for yourself, right? So basically, green flags are the things you look at people and say, okay, I like this person because of these things, because those things could help me.
I mean, for example, give us an example, like one or two examples.
So green flags would be one of the key things about green flag is respect. When you have a partner that respects you, right? That's green flag. When you have a partner that communicates well, I think when we talk about communication, people seems to only think about the idea of just speaking your mind or telling somebody something. Communication is actually very deep. It's deeper than just saying words, right? So when you communicate, when you know that you have a partner who communicates with empathy, because they aren't just throwing words at you. They are saying things in a way that you would understand them, right? So that they could be able to pass the message across in order for there to be that desired outcome, right? So these are some forms of green flags. You see someone who's respectful, someone who treats you well, someone who tries to communicate well. We have people who, and red flags would basically be the opposite of
The
these things
opposite of
I'm
those things.
mentioning, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of people with disrespectful behaviors towards their partner, towards their spouses. There are a lot of people who lack the ability to efficiently communicate, right? So they throw words at you, and instead of getting the desired result, it hurts you instead, right? So, in a relationship, even though there are things that you may wish to address, there are ways you communicate them. That's why I said communication has to involve empathy, as long as it has to do with your partner, right? Empathy, so it's just basically trying not to destroy them in the process of correcting them. You see, so in relationships in general, when these elements are there, someone is very honest, someone that you are safe with, someone who is not abusive, whether emotionally, whether physically or otherwise. So some of these things are some of the elements I believe that a lot of people look out for in order to choose partners. But what I was saying in the beginning when I spoke about how trauma could influence what we call, or what we put into that basket of red flags and green flags, because I've actually heard someone who said she doesn't like stable men. There are people like that, yes.
For real?
And normally stability should be one of the key elements to look out for in a partner, right?
Yeah.
So we see that trauma too can influence what you see as green flag or as red flag. There are people, I've heard people say from time to time, your partner should be able to make you be on your toes. So basically, I've heard women who have said they like it when their men cheat, or when their men have eyes outside.
That's actually true, because I also saw a video of a lady actually demanding a man to be more dramatic at home, because everywhere is just peaceful.
Yeah, it's too peaceful. Exactly.
Can you just imagine that?
Some would even require that. I've heard someone who said, I like when my partner beats me. So it shows that they care. So for them, and that's why, in order to properly deal with red flags, we need to also look at individuals. What influences
their choices?
their choices. What influences them to come up with this long list of do's and don'ts? So, and also a lot of the things that we consider green flags are just rules that we've created.
Rules from where?
People make up rules, things you would accept, things you will not accept. A lot of people who probably, there are some people who feel when their partner tries to restrict them from doing certain things, not out of control. There are people who have set out rules on that. And when you have someone who does not do that, does not necessarily mean that the person is exhibiting green flags. I'll explain further. So now this is the idea of this is, I think one of the key debate on this particular issue has been on clothing. Okay. Right? So people believe they should be able to dress how they like, how they feel, right? Without any form of restrictions from anybody. And from my own perspective, the idea of behaving anyhow you like does not apply to a relationship. Nobody who loves you would allow you to behave anyhow you like.
I mean, you can't just be. Even God loves us so much. He takes us as his children. We can't behave anyhow.
Exactly, there are principles.
Doesn't mean he doesn't give us free will.
Exactly.
To do our things.
So freedom is not the opportunity to act as you please. Freedom is the opportunity to act in a way that is right, even when the way that is not right entices you. So you are a married person, for instance, and you want to put on a miniskirt out, and your husband says, I'm not.
Like he doesn't like
I do
this
not.
outfit.
Yeah, I do not like the way you are presenting yourself out there with this outfit. Naturally, that shouldn't be a problem, and it's not an indication of control, because the truth is, when you're in a relationship, there are things that would naturally have to stop happening in consideration of your partner, and there is a way you would have to carry yourself, especially now talking to Christians, Christian relationship, Christian guys, right? There's certain things you would have to stop doing. There's certain things you would have to start doing, and so some people have made rules whereby if you start trying to redefine what they see as freedom or what they've understood as freedom, you become a red flag. Even though you are not hurting them by doing that, even if it's for their own good, it's for their own benefit, they term them as red flag. So red flags may not always be what people say they are.
What people say they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Quickly, I just want to ask: is it? Can we call it a red flag if someone is still close? You're still having a close relationship with your ex.
Well,
you laugh. I mean, why did you laugh?
Because it's also part of several discussions that I've seen, right? So the thing about this is, for me, my take would be, why are you still connected to someone you've had something beyond friendship with? Because the truth is, especially when you're married and you have an ex that you had something intimate with, because naturally, according to our Christian principles, you're not supposed to have anything intimate with someone you're not married to.
Yes.
But, considering the generation, right? Why should you be close with someone you've opened up so much to? Because now the truth is, to show respect for the person you are with, there are people you must cut off, not out of enmity, but out of respect for your partner.
For your partner,
out of honor.
yeah.
And also, you preserve yourself from not making errors that you shouldn't make. Because if a lot of people who may still have strings for their exes, when you keep that relationship alive, even if you've moved on, there is a percentage of the fire that is still burning. It just takes you guys to be in the right place at the right time, in the right condition, and things would happen that shouldn't have happened. You see, so for me, I would say, especially if your partner is not okay with the idea, you shouldn't do it. And to also preserve yourself, to keep yourself safe.
But I mean, normally you shouldn't even be. I think you shouldn't even have any close relationship with your ex. Once you are with a new person, your partner.
Normally that's how it should be, right? Normally that's how it should be. And like I said, it shouldn't be it's not out of enmity. It's just out of respect for your present partner. Because it's gonna look somehow if you've had true feelings for somebody, and you guys did not work out, there's a possibility that when you water whatever you guys are having currently, something would grow out of it. So it may not be love in its true sense, but at least something will still grow. Because whatever you keep alive would always want to bear fruit. There would always want to be something that will germinate from that.
Yes, just like they say, what you don't reject stays with you.
Exactly. You see, so I think for me on that topic, I would just say the safest thing to do is not to hang on to things that have passed. If it has passed, just let it go. Right? There's no need having those friendly calls, and all of this. No, it would just keep things alive. And then at the right time, something would just happen that shouldn't have happened.
Okay. Now should financial stability be considered as a red flag? For example, a situation whereby the man is not financially buoyant, but the woman is. Do you think is a red flag? Did you think?
Nah, it's not. It depends. It depends. Normally, someone being financially unstable is not an indication of who they would be. It does not harm you in any way, right? It's not a negative component, so it shouldn't be a red flag. It's just a status at the moment.
Yeah.
Someone who's financially unstable, it may just be that, okay, they've not yet gotten the job that they need, or they don't even have a job, or they are still a student. Students are not financially, stable, right? They're still very dependent. You could finish school and maybe you're still struggling to get that job. You may have a job, but the job may not be paying that much, and stuff like that. So for me, it's not a red flag. It shouldn't even be a red flag, right? But when it becomes a problem is if the person is not consistently doing things to improve their situation. That's when it becomes a problem. Because
but why? If there's a situation where the man is doing, consistently doing things to change the situation, but probably because of the state of the economy or the state of the nation, things are not just going his way. Maybe that goes on for like maybe 1 year, 2 years, and what do you make of that?
I think anyone who is consistently trying to be financially stable would eventually get there, as long as you're doing the right thing. So the emphasis is on what you are doing. If you have a partner who is trying to be better, who is trying to get a new job, who is trying to, to learn new skills in order to improve his income, totally fine. It doesn't always have to be an instant stuff. Sometimes it takes years for people to be stable, right? The economy is bad for everyone. So if you get to be with a partner who is not so financially stable as you are, it's not a red flag at all. Because even in a man's insufficiency, they can still find something out of it to take care of their home. What matters is, are they giving their all in ensuring that their home is okay? Everything is fine in the house. That's what matters. But like what I was saying, it becomes problematic when the person is not doing anything. Then, because I do not think anyone should get into marriage if they don't have the intention of ensuring that the home is well to do. So when you are just seated, you are doing nothing to improve your financial status, you are not doing anything to gain new skills, then you are practically just bringing a wife into a home to come and suffer with you. Right? You see, so because the children, who is going to pay the tuition? You have rent, you have feeding, you have clothing, you have all of these things. So you cannot afford to be comfortable in your partner's income, especially as a man. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because I believe this issue of leadership too, because a lot of people want to tie it to finances, but leadership is not always about finances.
No.
Right? So if you really love somebody, you would be patient with them and see them through that process. No one became
through that difficult phase of life.
No one became a millionaire overnight. A lot of the people we see today, either outside of those who probably inherited, their income, there are people who really toiled for years, for decades before they got to where they are currently. So for you to expect your partner to be like the Dangotes when it's just starting life, it's unreal. It's an unfair burden you're putting on your partner, because the essence of relationship is not to burden your partner. It's to help them grow. Both of you are to help each other become what you are supposed to become here, right? So there's no burden there. It's not a red flag. Every man is, I'm sure every well-to-do or well-thinking man wants to be financially stable, take care of their home, right? So if you see that the man is putting in the effort, if you see that the man is doing what he should be doing, even if you have one or two inputs, you don't make it look like the person is useless, or try to kind of like bury them while telling them what to do, or order them around.
But there are some women outside, you see, they can see categorically that this man is really trying, but yet they still make an issue out of it. Why do you think that is?
I think that's where patience and empathy comes in. Patience is also one of the green flags that people should be looking out for in partners, because sometimes we don't talk a lot about patience. Patience is very, very important. It's just like in your Christian journey. When you're praying for God to do something and it's not happening, you should be patient. Now, I read where someone said, patience is not just the ability to wait, but it's the attitude you have while you're waiting. You see, so it's not just waiting for a specific time, but how you act, your behavior during those processes, during that time. Yeah. So if a partner is truly patient with the husband, they wouldn't make them feel insignificant in the home, because then you were not truly patiently waiting, right? So the absence of money is temporal. The presence of money too can be temporal. So the financial stability you're looking for in that man, you might have it in another person, but there's no guarantee that it will remain that way. What if you met the guy fully loaded, and then along the line something happens and he doesn't have anymore?
Go play lottery.
So you see,
go play lottery.
I think we just need to be patient with one another. I think and that's part of love. Love is also patience. That's why in order for you, I think women should understand patience the most, because when you give birth to a child, they don't just become 18 the next day. The process of growth, right, is sometimes very difficult. And you experience them grow from just infants to toddlers, and then they keep growing to teenagehood. And so that entire process, you were not expecting your child to start thinking like an adult. The moment you gave birth to them. So I think women should actually really understand the concept of patience. But unfortunately, sometimes we are unable to apply certain concepts to our partner because we believe our partner should know better. Even though that's the case, it also does not mean that things would always have to work out for people the way we expect it to work out for. We don't give people timeline. Even myself, I cannot put timeline on how successful I need to be at a certain time.
With the way the economy is, the way things are going,
there's no timeline. Although you're free to have goals, you're free to have goals. You're free to set those goals.
Yeah.
But in your goals, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees, and that's why for a lot of people just get frustrated with life because they have so many goals and they've not achieved anything. You see, so have expectation, have plans, right? But the most important thing is that ensure that you are better than you were the day before.
Okay. Moving forward, still on a red flag. Is it a red flag, like, if your partner likes to have children but you don't.
You don't like.
You don't like.
Nah, it's not a
Because
red flag.
not everyone likes to have
Yeah.
a kid.
I think these discussions are very important during courtship, before marriage. It's always advisable that you ask your partner, how many
I mean,
kids
you are
do
a
you
married
want?
man, and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's why
I had a conversation with my wife too. How many children would you want to have? And she asked me to. And for me, I think it's important that once we get into the union, having held those discussions, it just makes things easier. It's not necessarily a red flag. It's just preference. It's just preference, and I think well, if any couple who stumbles on such issue, I think it's just about probably just meeting each other halfway. If let's say the man wants six kids and then the woman wants two, okay, can we just meet? Okay, let's have three, right? It's not two, it's not six, but at least we're in the middle, right? So there should always be a middle ground.
But no, for real. Why would you even, in the first place, say you want to get married and without having not wanting to
have kids.
To have kids. I mean, I don't know.
I think there are several reasons to that. It could be biological. It could be just it could be trauma related too. Some people have that trauma for wanting kids, and usually sometimes for some cases that I've seen, some people feel they would be incapable of being good parents. And so the fear of being a bad parent makes you not desire to have kids in order for you not to hurt them or inflict them with probably what you went through yourself. So it could stem from fear. It could also stem from biological issues. Maybe there are things that, they know about, they may not want to share with their partners. And, so they just hide under
kids to...
Yeah. Or another thing could actually be that some people don't just desire kids. I've had to think about it. And I think while for some, having children is more like keeping the lineage alive, keeping the name, having to continue with procreation, right? For others, they don't see it that way. They just feel, well, it's not really necessary. That's why it's important to have the conversation before marriage.
Before marriage.
Yeah, to know. Some people will say they would like to adopt, but they don't want kids of their own. While some will say they want some of their own biological and then they want to adopt to fill up, right? If they want maybe like 4 kids, they want maybe 2 would be biological and 2 would be. So it's very important that you have that conversation with your partner. Once you've had that conversation, if you now see that it's not something you can take, then you can now decide to step away. Because they could tick all the boxes. But if having kids is your major stuff, or is one of your major stuff, then you would have to either decide to bear the brunt or step away. There would always be other people that would share the same values and goals and aspirations like yourself. So,
okay, talking about asking questions before getting into relationship with someone.
Yeah.
For example, the lady is asking the man, what do you, what do you do? What is the work you do? Do you work somewhere, or do you have so amount or X amount in account to take care of me, in case in time to come we have kids? How do you take care of us, blah, blah, blah. And that early stage, is it a red flag? Can the man take that as a red flag? Because some men in quotes, quickly find fault in that, and I don't know why. Because I feel the lady wants to know who she wants to enter into the relationship with.
Yeah.
I think. What do you make of this?
No, I just think it's a matter of security, because women love to feel safe, right? So, for instance, and I think it's logical too, if the more children you have, that means the more responsibilities you would have financially as well. So, for a lot of women, they want to be certain that once these children comes, they would not struggle. That is, both of you who are couples would not struggle, and the kids will not have lacks.
Yeah.
You see, so I just feel in that situation, what should happen would be reassurance. Reassurance, make them feel safe, make them feel that everything will be taken care of. But we should also be very practical. It's okay to have those concerns, because one of the very important factor in having children is that you should also be financially able to take care of them. If not, it also even becomes a problem for the government. It means you just bring
For
in
the community,
kids. Yeah,
the
exactly.
government as well.
So if you have kids, I think that's why they have what they call, I think, family planning. So family planning also takes in question how much the household earns, and as both couple, the income of the household, and the expenses, and what having additional children would cost. Now, I know this was not necessarily the case back in the day, right? You would see someone with 10 children and they were just farmers. But I think for such homes also, having a parent who was a farmer, it also means that there was no lack of food in the house. But, in homes where there were so many kids, but very little financial capacity, we've seen that there was a lot of suffering. Your kids will not go to the desired school. Some children, some of the, I think I've seen families where some of the eldest one had to sacrifice going to school so that the younger ones could go. And I think for some, I think some they would do to a certain level and then stop and go and learn business so others can, do. So in such situations, financial ability or capacity or stability is actually a huge factor when bringing children into the question. And now that food prices are up, kids' food are up, they're always eating. You're not talking about now Pampers now. Yeah. I heard it's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
Uh-huh. So now imagine having, so many kids, and then you have to take care of them, buy them clothes, you buy them clothes. And
my brother.
It's a lot.
One family has like 6, 7, 8. There's one I saw, she had to carry one at the front.
Yeah.
One at the back. Then she had this thing, the French called poussette.
The poussette, yeah. The baby trolley.
I think, yeah, baby trolley. She has like 2. Inside. Only her.
That's a lot. I think...
No. I think that man must be prosecuted for this.
Well, it may still also just be that they were just going for a walk. But I think it's also good to space out so that you don't have a lot of toddlers. Although some people want to have kids as early as possible so they can stop, and then just spend the remaining time taking care of them and then just enjoying themselves too. But I think there's need for proper planning, planning, so that you don't get to carry forth unless they are twins or triplets. It doesn't happen. I think my auntie, the first set of kids she had were twins, and then she got pregnant again and they were twins again. So now she was forced to have, little twins and then baby twins. So those kind of situation could happen, right? You could say, okay, you want to give a space of 2 years. The first 2 years, while your kids are 2 years, the next one coming are also now twins. You see, so it could happen. But then there's also need for
unexpectedly, like when God just give you like 4.
It just happens.
4 or 6
exactly.
At the same time or more.
So it happens, and also this is where also I think the men also needs to step in that kind of situation. I don't think it may not be a bad thing. Mm-hmm. The woman, like I said, the woman might just be going for a stroll, but it does not present a good picture that a woman would be working with 4 kids. Yeah, and the man is not present. So it could mean anything, but then no blames on the man. But yeah, I think so. The essence of the questioning could just be that they want to feel safe. They don't want their kids to go through any form of struggle that would stem from financial incapacity. Okay. So if the finances are there, then I think she would be open to having kids. But if it's not there and she's not open to it, I think there just needs to be some form of discussion. Okay. Right? Okay, let's discuss about these. Open up. Everyone opens up. All right. this will not impact this, that will not. So everyone just talk. I think the key thing is communication.
Communication
just
from
communicate,
the start.
yeah.
Anyways, okay. Moving forward, what about religion?
Religion.
Yeah, religion. For example, maybe the man is a Christian, the woman is a Muslim.
Yeah.
Or what, is this a red flag?
Now, religion is not a red flag. It's more of preference, right? So what happens with this is, because religion can cause certain complications in the marriage. Because I think one of the foundational thing is that for Christians and Muslims, your values are different. Your core beliefs are different. And so when you're in a home where you are supposed to work together and grow together, but you are attached to religions that have two core differences that oftentimes would clash, then it could be a problem that would really affect the marriage, right? And sometimes it could be so bad that one person would have to submit to the other. Most times it usually won't be the women, right? But as Christians as well, I think just what the scripture says, do not be unequally yoked. So basically the idea is, it's easier to have a home where your beliefs are uniform.
Yeah,
especially when it even comes to naming of children, right? Naming ceremonies, they are different practices between Muslims and Christians. So, what names are the children going to be? Would they be Muslim names or Christian names? And if you say it's fine, are you okay with Muslim names for your kid as a woman if you're a Christian, right? I think it's harder on women.
The women's side.
Yeah, it's harder on women. If a woman is a Christian, the husband is a Muslim, usually it's the husband's
religion
that usually is more of is emphasized, right? But if the woman is a Muslim and the man is a Christian, then most times it may not really be problematic, right? But it's safer to marry someone of the same religion, because then you understand yourselves, right? Because from the things you would do, from how you handle issues, and all of, because religion shapes a lot on how we deal with things, right? Religion shapes a lot. So if you're already having that conflicting values in the home, then it will also become a problem to the children, because now what religion would the children go by?
Exactly.
So would they be Muslims or would they be Christians? So I just think, to be on the safer side, if you're a Christian, marry a Christian is best. If you're a Muslim, marry a Muslim is best, because they understand you already. When you say something, they already understand you.
You already understand.
Yeah, so
that's true.
Just save yourself the stress, save yourself the headache. Although we've seen people who were Christian that married into Muslim homes and stuff. If it's something you can handle, well, everyone to his own choice. Anything you see, you take it like that, right?
My brother.
But as Christians, our scripture tells us we shouldn't be unequally yoked, right? So it means that we have to partner or go through life, especially in such union, with a fellow Christian, because then our core values are the same. We pray to the same God. We share the same scriptural beliefs. We believe in the core foundation of Christianity, which is God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So those things are key too. And when you are praying together as a family, who do we pray to? How do we address our prayer? So these are some of the foundational things that I feel are very important in every union. So for me, as a Christian, stick with a Christian.
To save the stress.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, now moving on to green flags. Green flag is complete emotional transparency. Like when you are emotionally transparent to your partner. Is this a green flag?
Yes. Transparency is green flag, because transparency reinforces trust. When you're transparent, your partner trusts you, because now They know.
But there's some people who don't really like. They are like, you are too transparent. You are too nice. Too.
And that's why I said sometimes our traumas make us see good things as bad things. Someone who is transparent with you means that they are telling you that not just that you can trust them, but you can rely on them. So the foundation of every relationship should be on these: that your partner is transparent with you, your partner is honest with you. If they tell you they are going here, you can take it to the bank that they are going there, right? So it's very important that we have partners that are transparent with us. So in order to continue building a relationship, right, even when there are troubles, when you know that your partner is a honest person, you can believe whatever they are telling you, right? You can believe whatever they're telling you.
You can take it to the bank.
It helps. It helps. It helps, and it also creates that safe environment. It's very important that there is a safe environment for both people who make up the relationship to grow. Environment is important because why it's important, especially for me, is because that's this exact same environment that your kids will grow up in. Now, the society is not made up of itself. It's made up of people. And the first training ground for these people in the society is the home.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons why we have problems in the society, it's because the foundation, which is the home, is faulty. And so when you're in a space where there's trust, you see that your parents trust each other, you see your parents are transparent with each other, it will also translate to the things you desire to see in your own partner. So a healthy environment will breed healthy children, and healthy children would replicate that healthy environment in their own homes.
However, there's some children.
Yeah.
Although children like that.
Yeah, definitely. There will always be an exception to rules, right? There are always exceptions. There are people who grow up in very well-to-do homes, very healthy homes, very healthy environment, and then they turn out wayward. Yeah,
to be something
but
else.
I think just like the scripture says, train up a child in the way he should go, right? And when he's old, he won't depart from it. One of the key things that should be noted is that no matter how astray a child goes, a time would come when it would be the foundation they had that would bring them back.
True.
So they would have something to fall back on. So if they go out into the world empty, right, they're not going to fall back on anything. They'll just remain wayward. Or if someone else, by God's grace, just planted something different in them. But when they grow up in such a home, there is that possibility that they would always fall back to the things that they were taught while they were small. Right, because I think for many of us, especially myself too, there were times where we just wanted to do what we wanted to do, in spite of the advice we got, the training we got from home, right? But at the end of the day, the more you grow, the more you realize that yes, those things were right. Right, those things were right. I think the perfect example would always be, back then, it's kind of compulsory for you to have siesta in my house back then with my aunties. Once I come on Saturdays, or once I come back, if I didn't go to school, after breakfast, maybe a little stuff, but I'll always have siesta. I'll revise my book. So all those things were the trainings, right? But we didn't like it. But it got to a stage where no one had to tell us to read for us to read. And because we've already had some form of grooming, it helped us to now start reading on our own. Because I think even my master used to tell us, say these things that are forcing you guys to learn, a time would come, nobody will force you, you learn it yourself. Right? You see, so the things you put into people, one day it would be upon those things that they would now build other things. But if there's nothing to build on, when it gets to the point of building, they will now have to start afresh. by laying a foundation again and then start building. That's why people lose years. Right. So it's important that in the home we could show our children the kind of person they should be, and not just that, the kind of person they should also be with, and then the kind of environment they should also create for their children.
True. Because many of these kids, we think they are children, they are kids, they don't know anything. Meanwhile, our actions, they really capture it, they learn it.
Yeah. Before a child starts speaking or start even understanding languages, they're already learning from your behaviors. Yeah. I think that's the first form of learning for every child. Before they could understand you, before they can hear the words, they can understand the words, they're already observing how you behave. I've seen toddlers who mimic the way their grandparents walk. You see, so they look at the things you do, they look at how you shout at your wife, they look at how your wife shouts at you. And that's why in such home, I think studies have also shown that a lot of the men who are abusive today grew up in homes where their fathers were abusive to their mothers. You see, and a lot of the women who exhibit certain behaviors today also, saw them firsthand from their own mothers. So
if you see woman when they slap you,
exactly.
The papa said don't slap the mother.
Yeah. So children are learning. So children see these behaviors and then it shapes them. Because then if it's normal in their environment where they got their first training, then automatically the brain registers it as it's normal to do it in your own home. You see. So it's important. So transparency, building the trust is very important in the home. A lot of the reasons why we have people who don't easily trust is because they grew up in an environment where there was no trust. You see. So everything you do in the house translates into what your kids pour out there and how their life also eventually will turn out.
True.
You see. So transparency definitely is a green flag. And I think people should look out for transparency. It's not a bad thing.
Okay. Real quick. Is always putting your partner first. Is it also green flags?
Yeah, I think
like in everything, your partner first.
I think the right word would just I think it just shows consideration. It shows consideration. It shows that you think of them. It shows that you value them. And I believe the best way is if we are putting each other first, then we are truly taking care of ourselves. If I put you first and you put me first, if you're thinking about me before yourself, I'm thinking about you before myself, then we are truly looking out for each other. That's actually, I think that's one of the responsibilities some people are not ready to take on. Because because there's this ideology of I have to look out for myself first. There's an ideology of selfishness that has been glorified now in the modern society. People see it to be as depriving yourself of certain good living. Meanwhile, that's how it should be. Right? Before you eat all the food in the house, have you thought about the person that lives with you? Have they eaten? And so it just puts you in a position where you both rely on one another. Because if you know and you're sure that your partner is thinking of you, you would also have trust in them that they would look out for what's best for you.
Yeah, in that way, you're not really missing anything.
You're not missing anything. Yeah.
What you're supposed to do, your partner had already done.
Exactly.
What the other one's supposed to do.
So you see, you're filling in the spaces for each other. And that's why it becomes frustrating if it's only one person doing it.
Yeah. True.
It becomes very frustrating and tiring that someone is pouring so much into you and they're not receiving it back. And I think that's what also builds exhaustion in relationships and marriages. You see people who have, had long relationships for years, and then they just get to a point where they feel exhausted. Because the more I pour into you, it means I'm emptying myself. Myself is being empty. And so I need, So basically, what you give to your partner, you receive.
No,
you see, so you take care of them, and they have the strength to take care of you. So the more we're taking care of each other, the more we're looking out for one another.
And the relationship grows.
And that's how it grows. But if it's one person that's just doing all the work, thinking of this person, looking out for the best of this person, the other person doesn't really just care, or they're just being very selfish, that's not love. There's no selfishness in love. And I think this also, it reflects, as Christians, it reflects on what Christ did. Mm-hmm. He deprived himself of all the worldly glory in order to ensure that the creation had it. So deprivation of self is also a factor of love. When your partner would say, I'd rather that you look good, wear the good clothes, let me wear the clothes I had. You too, you say, okay, the last money I have, I'm going to invest it in you. So you see that we are both investing in one another. And so when you invest in things, you take care of those things. So investment would make you be more careful, would make you be more prudent, would make you to really look out for something to ensure that it bears the fruit that you want to see it bear, right? So one of the best way to grow as couple is to invest in one another.
True.
Right.
True. Anyway, there's this question I have. Is also having no jealousy in a relationship. Is it for example, a man and a woman, the guy is not, the lady has some male friends, but truly they are just friends, not best friends, just friends.
Yeah,
there are some guys that just merely seeing their partner with another guy as a friend, they've lost it. So now the question now is, for example, your partner is seen with another person, discussing, talking, truly, it's just friends. And you are not jealous about it. You still find the way, one way or the other, you are not jealous. You know, is it a green flag? Because some will say, you know, like some ladies, some African ladies, for example, they will say, I'm with this person, you're not even talking, you're not even jealous. It's like you don't love me. It's like, something like that. So what do you say to this?
Yeah, I think there is no relationship without jealousy. The Bible even said God is a jealous God. There is no love without jealousy. Some form of jealousy, it would always be there. However, there is that thin line. You know, it shouldn't get to a point where it becomes controlling. And I think this could potentially be a red flag. If you have a partner who does not like to see you with the opposite sex, then it could be problematic. Because, like you mentioned, they're just friends. And I think one of the ways your partner also grows is also for you to allow them to build healthy friendships outside. It is good for
even with the opposite sex.
It is good for your partner to have relationships outside. However, I think it also depends on if the partner is trustworthy. Right? If you trust your partner, you wouldn't have to worry much, right? But just friends is okay. Totally okay. There is nothing wrong in having friends, but then it becomes a problem if that particular friend now starts calling at 11 p.m. to discuss. Why are you calling someone else's partner at 11 p.m.? And then why is your partner answering the call and then taking her time, sitting down, relaxing, laughing,
blushing, and
that becomes problematic, you see. But normally, friendships shouldn't be a problem. With the opposite, it shouldn't really be a problem. And for some men who may not really, or for some women who may not really show, because some people want to see that you are jealous a little bit, like you mentioned now. You know, some people are just, probably is also an indicator of that they trust you. And also, people see through people. They know that nothing will happen.
That's
so
true.
why they, because sometimes we just worry over things that are irrelevant.
Irrelevant,
you see. So and for some men, it's very logical when you see something that does not pose as a threat. Why do you worry about them? It's not a threat. It's not a threat. So I'm relaxed. You see, so it's not an indication that there's an absence of love. It's also an indication that the man knows himself. He has assessed the situation. He knows there's no threat, and also that he trusts you. I think that's good, right? But for the other side, that could potentially be a red flag. nobody should confine you to just themselves, even in marriage. You should have friends. You should have people you can talk with. You should have people you can, laugh with. Genuine, really,
Genuine relationship.
yeah, with other people, right? Because if you isolate your partner, I think that's one of the things that causes people to take their lives, suicide, because there's no community. So if you isolate your man to just yourself, right, there are some problems that could arise from that home because they do not have an outlet. Not that they'll go and say what's happening in your home, but just
Someone
people
to
that
talk to outside the
it might not
relationship.
even be talk about the relationship. It might just be that someone who is bringing other things to his life. So if here is actually being a headache, should have somewhere that he could at least go and relieve the tension and then come home. Because sometimes when you get out of the environment that is problematic into a new environment that relieves you, you come in back with a clear head. And so you guys can now discuss better. So isolation in marriages can be very dangerous. Although some people don't mind. Some people could cut off, because I had a friend, after he broke up with the girl, he said, one of the things he said was that he did everything for the girl, including cutting off all his female friends. So there were nothing he had with them, but because the girl's preference was that you shouldn't be in communication or have any form of
As
friendship.
in at all.
Yeah.
It cut all of them.
And I think men too should actually look out for these tendencies. If a lady is overly controlling on the friendships you keep, even if you've not given her the reason to doubt your genuineness, then it becomes a problem. Because that's control. So no one should try to impose certain rules on other people. You should make them understand. I think it also boils down to, it could also be traumatic. Everything, because for me, a lot of the things that happens today, because of how decayed the family foundation has been, some of the things that we are seeing today is as a result of, that toxic environment that they are coming out from. So a girl who says, I just want to be your best friend, your wife, and your friends all together, then you should try to, before even getting married to the person, you should try to understand where they're coming from. Is this something they can heal from? And then you also look at how can you build yourself to a point where they can trust you with people. You see, so when all of these things comes into play, then it becomes easier. But if these things are still persistent after you've showed that you are reliable, then for me it's a huge red flag.
Okay. Now it's this one. I like this question. Is being friendly, being jovial as a man. Being jovial as a man or as a woman, is it a red flag?
It depends.
Or green flag?
It depends. It's good for people to be friendly.
Some people are naturally friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, is that trait a green flag or red flag in a relationship?
I think for me, it's more of a green flag than a red flag. It shows that they have the ability to build friendship outside of the home. They are showing signs of being open to connections. So it means that, there are people, they would be sound mentally. Because people who can easily build connection with people, who can build friendships, who can communicate with people, who have social circles, they are usually more mentally healthy. So it's an indication that you are potentially going to be with someone, who you can be friends with. Because if they can be friends with people outside, then they can be friends with you in the house, right? But then it becomes a problem when the friendliness has no boundaries. Right. You can be very good friends with somebody, but then because you have a partner, there should be limitations to how friendly you can be. Right? If when you were single, when you see your very good male friend, you jump, you hug the person, you beg, we see some friends like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool. When you get married, that cannot happen again. You cannot now say, oh, because I'm always friendly. No, that shouldn't excuse the behavior. It's sometimes friendliness could become disrespectful to your partner. depends on the things you do
Yeah.
while being friendly. You see, so I mean, you could remain friendly and also remain respectful to the person you are with. I think that's just the whole thing is just creating boundaries around your friendliness. So create. It's not like your partner is limiting you from expressing yourself to the fullest. It's just about honor. When you respect people, you would bring yourself to doing something that would not hurt them. Because I wouldn't want to see my wife jump on a guy and hug the person and start kissing. And I believe that a woman will not want to see.
Kuma, they carry and go. Take her away.
And I'm sure a woman will not want to see the same thing of her husband. I mean, a girl comes now and then he's all over the girl, hugging the girl, holding the girl, and you're just there. It may not mean anything. It may just be that they've been friends for some people that have been friends from childhood. It could happen. But it just means that you have to respect the person
How it won't happen? You're married now. You're married.
Yeah, exactly. But some people don't actually know where to draw the line. You know, it's not taking away. In fact, because sometimes one will just make it look like relationships don't bring limitations or don't bring restrictions. When you get into marriage or union or relationship, there are things that may have to stop. And I think it's about growth too. It's about growth.
Things like what may have to stop.
The things that you do that you feel, especially if like this issue that we're talking about now, being overly friendly. If you've had a conversation with your partner and your partner says, I don't have a problem with you being friendly, but there's how friendly you become and it makes me look bad in the background. It's not limiting you. It's just saying, in your friendliness, can you consider me? You see? Mm-hmm. So that's why there's always that place of communication. You don't have to fight about it. Just dialogue. You know, a lot of things that people fight about, you could just simply just talk it out. You know, and I think one of the things that causes issues is just that when one person is talking, one person is not actively listening.
Yes, that happens a lot in
so
many relationships.
If your partner is actually really telling you something that is hurting them, even if it might not mean anything to you, as long as it means something to them, take it as something of value. So that restriction comes in. That I think, okay, let me not use restriction. Let me call it adjustment. So you readjust yourself. For instance, if you're as a married man, or as a single person, when you could go out with your friends and go back home 3 a.m., nobody's going to hold your neck. But when you get married, it becomes different. So no one needs to tell you about that. You know, you have someone that you are responsible for in the house. And then when you now have children, you cannot just be reckless anymore. You know that there's an additional responsibility. So certain things that come into your life makes you readjust. And it's not restriction. It's part of growth. It's part of responsibility comes with a lot of cutting off certain things about yourself. And it's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily a red flag. It's not also necessarily a green flag. It just means that you guys you understand how life is. You understand what it means to have what you have. And you also have value for the things that you have.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, there's this question I would like us to treat. Is going out late night, for example. I have a friend that normally, he's married.
Yeah.
But I discovered that a friend of his can call him at about, let's say, 10, 11 at night.
Yeah.
Say, guy, Alpha, come, let's go have a drink, you know. And he will leave the house. Yeah, he will leave the house and go have a drink with the friend. Which is probably co-workers, but they're friends, they work together. Around that time, and he's a married man. A man that has 3 children. 10:30 or 11, thereabout. It goes out. What do you think of this?
To me, that's not, for me, it's not good. Because you can't just...
Falls on the red flag.
Yeah. It's... I think it may not potentially be a huge red flag. It may just be a behavioral flaw that is fixable. But he must be open to the correction, to adjust. And one important thing also is, that's why I said circle. The circle you keep, when you have responsible friends, they get to a point when they see that you've transitioned to a different level of responsibility, they will respect that responsibility that you have. When you are married, you've transitioned to something different. Someone who, or friends that respect you would know. I don't have any friend in my circle that will call me at 10, 11 and ask me to come out for drinks. I don't have any. But I have friends that if we go out, once it's around that 6, 7, 8, they are reminding me that let's round up, so you get wife. That's why our circle is important. There are friends you would keep that would help you become more responsible. And there are friends you would have that will take you away from your responsibilities. Because now, imagine if you left the house and something happens to your wife and kids. Who would you hold responsible? You were not there. So as parents, it's good to, once in a while, it may not be bad. But then if it's something that happens frequently, then it shows that you have an addiction to something, either to your friends or to the drinks you go to have or whatever it is. You must cut down on them. It comes with the task of being a husband and especially being a father. Because as leaders in the home, as leader, it means that there are just things that even if you want to do them, even if they are not wrong that you did them, you cannot just afford to do them. Going out is not wrong. However, because you have a responsibility, you will deprive yourself of that particular thing in order for you to ensure that you are in the position where if something happens, you are there to protect your home. You see? Yeah, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes bad when you have a home that you should be present for and you're not present there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one. What about being too nice? Like, is being too nice a red flag? No. Being too nice a green flag or a masked red flag
I think being too nice, it's just like also being friendly
to your partner.
Yeah. So if being too nice to your partner, being too nice, there's never being too nice to your partner. Be nice, no matter, as long as it's your partner.
Like for someone who you're aspiring to make, to make her or make him your
partner.
Yeah,
you are too nice to them.
Like like you feel like maybe you are too nice or you are being nice.
No. I don't think it's something you should worry about. And I think if your partner is too nice to you, it also shows that they would have your best interest at heart, that they always take care of you. So if someone is so nice to you, it means that they care for you. And for me, it's a good thing. As long as the niceness is with your partner.
Okay, for example, someone say, George, how are you? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You say, this one, you are this nice. Is there something, it's not overly, like you're overthinking on it. Meanwhile, the person is just being nice, trying to, you understand?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing, like you're being nice to your partner and your partner starts suspecting, voila, you get the point now.
I've actually watched a video where they were doing this
like
social experiment.
Real quick before we round up.
Yeah, they were doing this social experiment and they asked the girl, call your husband and tell your husband that you love him. If he responds he loves you back, then you would win a cash prize, right? And so she called and then she told the husband, I love you. The first thing the husband said was, what do you want? So if your partner is being suspicious of your niceness, it means they are not accustomed to it. You see, it means that they are not used to you being nice to them.
Exactly.
You see, so I think that's why we have to consistently be nice, so that when our partner is nice, we know it's normal. So something that you've not seen as normal, when it happens, you want to question it. And that's also very normal too, right? You want to question it. Okay, what exactly is happening? And I think a lot of men also have said that when their wife overly becomes very nice, starts saying that I love you, just like the man that asks the wife, do you need money? I sent you money the other. Because if you only show certain level of niceness to your partner only when you need something, they would always attach your niceness to you being needy. So even when you don't need anything, you're just being loving.
Just be nice.
They would always want to say, do you need something? Because that's all they've known. So as partners, it's good that your better half knows you as someone who is loving at all times, not only when things are all rosy. You don't need to have all of the money in the world to be nice to your partner. Sometimes, even when I'm going back home, I can just stop at the boulangerie and buy whether it's a cake or chocolate. It doesn't have to be big.
Exactly.
It just shows that you thought about them while you were coming back. You see, so the niceness, it's very important that you're nice. Show that you love them, because loving is not just the words. Love is about the things you do. So they must be able to tell that you love them by the things you do. And niceness is part of those things. Okay. So if your partner is strange to you being nice, then you have to work on actually being nice at home.
Nice. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate. I really appreciate your being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.